my creative purpose and mission, the grounds that it was standing on before, I don't think was steady enough. And when it came through, it was like this sense of knowing. And all of a sudden, like, I felt like I needed to write it out. So I wrote it out. And I'm going to share it with you today because this is the revelation. Welcome to Teesside Thursdays with Win. This is your bi-weekly pocket of pain-stained thoughts, creative chaos, and a gentle reminder that yes, you are allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. I'm Win, your resident rambler, a brush wielder, and a dream builder. Every other week, we will be diving into whatever is on the canvas of my mind. Maybe it's the strange balance between ambition and burnout, or maybe it's about a sketch. I don't want it to be scripted, no polishing, just pure presence. Let's talk art, growth, and all the in-betweens that we don't normally hear about. So grab your own cup of tea and let's wander in this creative wilderness together. Your Thursdays just got a little bit weirder, but also a little bit more wonderful. And today I have Moroccan mint tea, and I wanted to show you the packaging because it's really pretty. We got it from Morocco at the airport. We needed to use up like the last bits of our change, and this is what we found. So I love the pink against the green and the sort of minimalistic design, and I think that really drew our attention. And of course, Moroccan mint tea, it's super original to Morocco, so that's what I'll be drinking today. And it's still really hot, so I'm gonna let it stew for a few minutes. And if you hear some meowing, it's because of my cat here. And let's get into it. For the topic of this week is, if you are pursuing any kind of goal, especially on a creative goal, creative journey, then you are going to face the inevitable, which is that you will at some point hit some form of a dead end where you feel like you've lost your way, like you don't know why you even started this journey in the first place, and you have no strength that you can find to continue. And that is what happened to me just a few months ago, actually. I started off this year feeling very, very strong and very, very motivated. I just quit my job and I really felt this sense of purpose. And I had this vision that was very clear in my head, so clear that I thought that nothing could break me, nothing could shake me. And nothing could be further from the truth, especially when starting something out in such a naive way where we still have our rose-tinted glasses on. And I feel like that was what happened to me. But I also want to acknowledge that this naivety at the beginning of our journeys is actually something that we need, because without this symbolism of, you know, being like a fool, being naive and being a bit of a risk taker, without that, none of us would even start anything that is life-changing and big in our lives. With that being said, it's only when we start to get down into the details and actually like start implementing the actions that we said we're gonna do. There is this initial sense of excitement and passion and energy, but the routine of the task can sometimes take us away from the initial purpose and vision. So what happened to me was, back in May and June, I started to feel a little bit lost, especially when it came to this content creation journey, where I wasn't quite sure why I was even sharing videos in the first place and why I'm even online. Because this blaringly obvious thing that I had in my life in pursuing my dream is that I wanted to be deeply, intimately involved with my painting process and my sketching and drawing process, because this is something that I hadn't fully dedicated myself to before. And I knew that to reach a sense of mastery, I needed to lend myself to the practice itself. But then there was also this juggle of creating these videos and sharing this journey with you along the way, where sometimes it's not perfect, and I had this sense that I needed to be perfect, or I needed to also have this sort of mastery and videography and all of that stuff before I could even share anything online. And that was when this sense of perfectionism started to like filter through, not only into my content creation process, but also into my painting process, where everything just started to become really tight. So if you've been following me for a while, you will know about my lemon painting that I did. Let me just show you, actually, it's right here. So this lemon painting, this was done about, I think, just over a month ago. This was the painting that marked the start of my perfectionism, because we had to paint super realistically for this particular assignment. And I was beating myself up so much about it not looking perfect. And with that and a bit of this feeling of lostness, I started to lose my way. And I always thought that I was someone who knew where I was going and my purpose and my mission for going there. And I thought that, especially in this year, I started off feeling very clear about it. But over time, these little bits of perfectionism, these little bits of self-doubt and judgment, being really hard on myself especially, was something that all of it put together made me lose my way. Let me take a sip before I get to the juicy part. Oh, it's so good. This is like a good pick-me-up, especially in an afternoon. It's like nearly 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't really have coffee. I'm not really a coffee drinker, so this is perfect. Unless my mom makes coffee, then I have coffee. I'm very biased in that way. So like sometimes you might get to that stage where you feel really empty and lost and not at your best. And I think in a way that was almost like a tidal wave that I needed to surf through. Because I don't know if I would be here right now in this state of mind if I didn't go through that. Because I think from going through that, I feel a stronger sense of purpose, a stronger sense of clarity, and a stronger sense of that fire within me. And this fire, like within us, right? The energy that keeps us going in our creative path, it doesn't have to be this blaringly obvious fire. It most often, I think the fires, this energetic fires that last, are actually the fires that are burning slowly, and it's quiet, but it has this energy to keep burning and keep burning and keep burning. When we go through this type of a dip, this type of a lull, then I think we have the tendency to panic. Like we have the tendency to be like, maybe this isn't the path that I'm meant to be on. Maybe I'm not even meant to make videos. Maybe I'm not going to be as good of an artist as I see everybody else out there seems to be. And when you feel that lull and this emptiness, A, don't push it away, and B, don't give in to those thoughts that actually are telling you you are not meant to be X, Y, and Z. Because I think that is the part of us that start to doubt and that start to limit our ourselves. I realized eventually that what I needed to do was to get myself back into the rhythm of scheduling my time out again, because I started off this year doing time blocking, like time blocking my hours and days and things like that. And I wanted to get back into that again. So that was how I actually just started. I sat down one Monday, giving myself a couple of hours to just time block my whole week without overthinking things. And that was when it actually hit me that this path I'm on, even though I don't know how long I'm going to be on this journey for, that I'm here and that I'm still here. And all the ways of me like thinking about my creative purpose and mission, the grounds that it was standing on before, I don't think was steady enough, because it was still based on me trying to be perfect. What came through was something that I learned as a really valuable lesson from the gym. And when it came through, it was like this sense of knowing. And all of a sudden, like I felt like I needed to write it out. So I wrote it out. And I'm going to share it with you today because this is the revelation. So, behold this reflection, this revelation. So I actually wrote this on 28th of July, 2025 at 10:30 in the morning on my phone. The biggest thing I've realized now is that art can be like going to the gym. Some days I'm pumped, some days I'm not. Some days I have a really good session where I hit a lot of personal best. Some days it's just plain and okay. Some days it's really boring. But no matter what, I already decided to show up because I truly trust that all of the days are leading me to the bigger vision. A bad session, a boring one, or even a good one doesn't bring me down or to a halt. I am able to treat it all as one meant to be, a part of the process of the bigger picture. Art is full of techniques. In the end, it all comes down to breaking it down into simple things, drawing the shapes of a nose, an eye, mixing some nice colors, learning how to paint and draw faces. Nothing more than that, nothing less than that. Same with video making. Everything I said about my experience with my gym sessions can be applied to my art and my video making. But unlike the gym, I treat every slow, every non-eventful, every boring, unmotivated session, and even the really successful ones, like a big thing. Watching every part like a hawk, judging every little thing, when each time I practice art and videos, they've really just been similar to a gym session I have. My only job is to turn up and learn the technique and carry out the task. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. Why not? Shouldn't art be about big ideas, being unique, telling crazy stories? I want to challenge myself to think differently this time because that's the only way I can go on right now. And also because I may not have been right all along in my approach. And I'm willing to open my eyes and see it from this perspective. That the mundane, normal turning up is really the most important thing. Special puts a lot of pressure, and pressure can burst in volatile ways. And I'm creating something that will last. That means my approach has to be built on foundations stronger than the ones I've been carrying. Artists are no different to anyone else. Despite what people say, our job is no different to anyone else. If we label ourselves as the other, it only puts unnecessary pressure to always be unique, to always be inventing. But sometimes we don't need to reinvent. We just need to continue like a bodybuilder, trusting in the reps, trusting in the micro count, trusting in the process, trusting in ourselves, our normal daily self. And that was the foundation that I was standing on before. That foundation was that I was treating every single little thing as if it's a big thing. And I have to really credit going to the gym and learning to train properly in the gym as something that has been a really positive influence in my life, because I don't think I would also have reached this conclusion had I stopped going to the gym, especially in those moments where it was really hard and I was really at a low point in my journey. Because I did continue to show up in the gym even when I didn't want to, even when I even almost felt this like depressive kind of emptiness. I still went. And I think that was also a big factor in being able to kind of put 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 together into this sort of reflection that makes me feel like right now I'm standing on a stronger foundation, because not every day for me has to be this like grand epic drama, this grand epic thing. Like, actually I'm able to approach my days with more curiosity because of the freedom that I've given myself for things to be as they are. Like it said in the reflection, like some of the gym days that I have are actually really mundane, really, really boring sometimes, but I still have that sense of trust. I don't know where it came from, but that was one area of my life that didn't alter. I have some goals for myself, strength-wise and aesthetically. I never really lost sight of my overall vision. I never really had this sense of perfectionism. I know that the thing that matters is just turning up, and that progress eventually comes together. I don't know why, but I just trust it completely. And when I started to compare and reflect on my painting and video making process to my process in the gym, there was a huge contrast, because even though I was turning up with the videos and the paintings, even though I was showing up, even though I had good days, even though I had bad days, even though some days were normal, some days I saw, some spurts of growth, even though all of these things were happening, just like in the gym sessions, it was all happening in a similar way, I was viewing it as this big melodrama, and that really didn't help. Whereas now, my foundation is stronger, because even if I make a bad painting, I know that in that bad painting itself, there were some good elements. And those good elements are actually going to be something that I'm going to implement in my next painting. And because I made maybe some mistakes in this painting, I won't make it again in another one in a similar way, because I've sort of learned from it and my brain sort of integrated that into the next one. And that's the same thing with when you're building muscle. It's like, it's the repetitions that count. It's the repetition of one rep after another that will eventually get you to the biceps that you want. So I have seen this growth in my portrait paintings, for example, because I sketched so much in my sketchbook, even on the days where I was feeling really low and lost. When I did come out of that period and I tried to do portrait painting again, some things clicked, and I was able to integrate the things that I've learned in the lessons into this painting that is actually currently is turning out better than I expected. And also even turning up with my videos, not feeling like every video has to be a cinematic masterpiece, but focusing more on the storytelling, showing up more as myself to you, is actually the thing that is going to make me feel like I'm enjoying the process, and it's not going to feel tight. Right now, at least, like, it doesn't feel tight and harsh, and like I'm able to breathe this sigh of relief from feeling the heaviness, but also from kind of coming through to the other side. So in conclusion, if you're going through what I went through, it's normal. Who's to say I'm not going to go through it in the near future, right? But I think this is also the evidence that we are getting truly intimate with our creative process, because you will know, like, the things that you stuck with in your life, the things that you fought for in your life, you had to go through the motions of the ups and the downs, the highs, the lows, and you came out stronger on the other side. You came out a better person on the other side, and you came out with, more importantly, a steady, stronger sense of foundations on the other side. And I think that's also part of creative maturity, despite your sense of feeling lost, despite your sense of lack of objectiveness, despite your sense of purpose and mission, despite in these moments being super imperfect, feeling like whatever you're doing, you really don't know if that is the right thing or not to do. Just keep trying and just keep showing up. And I really trust and I really do believe that you will come out on the other side. I've nearly finished my tea, and thank you for joining me on another weird and wonderful Teaside Thursdays, and I will see you in the next Teaside Thursday.